Sergio Perez has finally opened up on F1 2023 slump. After one of the worst seasons of his career, the Mexican is under huge pressure to perform next year. If not, he could be one of the first to be replaced during next season. But who could replace him during the season or maybe after? Watch the video to find out who Red Bull is lining up as Perez's replacement. So, Sergio Perez has finally spoken up on how his Red Bull problems in 2023 made Formula One no longer fun, and why he didn't consider quitting after his worst weekend ever. But will this be enough to save his Red Bull career? And don't actions speak louder than words? Perez lived up to his once valid street racing king reputation by winning the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, lowering teammate Max Verstappen's lead to just 6 points as he pledged to fight for the 2023 title all the way. His pole in the next Miami Grand Prix, with Verstappen down in 10th, was an opportunity to highlight his skills. But as the Dutchman flew through the field to defeat Perez, he delivered a psychological hammer blow. It signaled the beginning of an awful year for Perez, who struggled with the car's performance from the next round in Barcelona and missed Q3 a shocking 5 times in a row, qualifying just 9th in the Hungarian race that ended that streak, an intolerable catastrophe in the field's dominant car. Despite a contract until 2024, pressure had begun to mount on the Mexican, which was increased when Daniel Ricciardo was brought back to replace Nick de Vries in the sibling AlphaTauri squad, with the evident intention of trying him out for a possible Red Bull comeback down the road. Perez's breaking point came at the Qatar Grand Prix, when he appeared completely confused and devoid of confidence, finishing 10th, more than 80 seconds behind Verstappen, who won the title that Perez was seeking with 6 rounds to spare. Perez was so shell-shocked that he went to the team's headquarters for 3 days of simulator work and brainstorming with his engineers on how to dig himself out of a hole that felt like the deepest he'd ever been in. In a roundtable interview, Perez explained why he waited until after Qatar to take action and demand a brainstorming session. Because Qatar was really the worst weekend I remember in a while, probably my worst weekend ever in the sport. It was such a bad weekend that I really felt like, I cannot be this bad, there's something that's going on. When you have these back-to-back races, I feel like sometimes there is not enough time to really go through it all. So I felt like we really had to take a bit of time to make sure that we understood which way we were going. Obviously, we had a deficit within the car setup that we were playing around with weekend by weekend, and we were just not able to progress through it. But once we managed to get on top of that, we understood a lot of things that we were trying to compensate for. And that just basically meant that we were not just not doing things right. I think that has been really, really good on our side. I mean, it was bad that it happened, but in a way, it was really good because it really strengthened our team quite a lot. In the midst of rumours about his future, Perez maintained he never thought about quitting, despite a slump that he now acknowledges drained all fun from his profession. No, obviously that would have been the easiest route because it was very tough at times, the 33-year-old stated emphatically. But I'm not the type of guy that at this stage of my career will be giving up and be willing to finish my career like that. It's not something that I ever considered doing. I'm aware of the responsibility I have, and I'm not the sort of guy that will blame people around me for the results. At the end of the day, I took responsibility for it, and I had to turn around the situation quite a lot. In response to speculation that he may be replaced by Ricciardo or others, he stated, "To be honest, I wasn't really thinking of it as a driver. I was more focused on making sure I could enjoy the weekends and be able to have that. I was having some weekends that were so difficult that they were not fun. I'm here because I still love what I'm doing, and I'm here because I still have a lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment. And that was my main focus, that we really need things to turn them around. I had some really difficult times in a few months, let's put it that way. I went from fighting from the championship to being in a difficult boat and not having that confidence with the car. But at the end of the day, if you want to be at Red Bull, I'm aware of how strong mentally you have to be here. And it's something that I got stronger at. You learn so much from the bad days, much more than from the good days." Perez's tenacity was on display in Mexico, where a daring outside move to grab the lead into Turn 1 ended in tears. When asked if his actions summed up his feelings about the season after his championship bid had fizzled, he said, "Yeah, basically. I really felt like I had a real option going first into Turn 1 if I made it stick. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but it could have been a massive result. If I'm fighting for the championship, I think you cannot be that aggressive. but if you're fighting for second, then it's a different story. Despite taking only one podium in the final third of the season, in Las Vegas, and finishing with half the points total of Verstappen, Perez believes the manner he managed to calm the ship after Qatar was optimistic for 2024. "I always say people will only remember where you finish in Abu Dhabi, but I'm aware of the year I had," he said. "I think I've learned a lot, and I'm happy with how we managed to turn our season around. We really came out of it stronger than before and made good use of those bad days." But still, even though Perez has regained some of his form at the end of the season, his position at Red Bull has come under intense pressure following that disastrous 2023 season in which he only managed 9 podium finishes, including wins in Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan, while teammate Verstappen won 19 of 22 races. With his Red Bull contract scheduled to expire at the end of 2024, Perez's last season in F1 might be here, having joined the grid with Sauber in 2011. So, if that appears to be true, who could take over? Many might say Norris or maybe Albon again, but recently a surprising candidate for the seat has popped up. According to reports, Carlos Sainz might be reunited with Max Verstappen at Red Bull if his Ferrari contract is not renewed after the F1 2024 season. Since joining Ferrari in 2021, Sainz has had a reasonable degree of success, winning his maiden F1 race in the 2022 British Grand Prix, before becoming the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race in Singapore in 2023. However, Sainz's and teammate Charles Leclerc's futures are unknown, with both Ferrari drivers' contracts scheduled to expire at the conclusion of next season. But, while Leclerc is set to sign a new long-term contract as seen in our previous video, Sainz's future is considered to be less certain. Sainz has consistently stated his wish to have his future sorted before the start of the 2024 season, and the Spaniard has recently been linked with a switch to 2026 newcomers Audi. However, according to the Italian daily La Gazzetta dello Sport, Sainz, a product of Red Bull's junior driver program, may replace Sergio Perez as Verstappen's teammate in 2025. A return to McLaren, where he had a successful 2-year stay in 2019-20, is also a possibility for the 29-year-old, while Audi is looking for a driver of high level and experience for their 2026 entrance with Sauber. While Leclerc is expected to agree to a 5-year contract to the end of 2029, Sainz's discussions are thought to be more tricky, with the driver asking for a 2-year term. It remains to be seen if Ferrari would satisfy his requests or instead give a 1-year extension till the end of 2025, allowing the team to approach Sainz's former teammate Lando Norris, whose current McLaren deal will expire at that time. In 2015, Sainz joined Red Bull junior squad Toro Rosso as Verstappen's teammate, and the duo were pretty similarly matched throughout their debut year in the sport. Verstappen was promoted to the Red Bull senior squad after only 4 races in 2016, with reports at the time claiming that the competitive rivalry between Verstappen and Sainz had created a toxic environment at Toro Rosso. Sainz stayed at Toro Rosso for 1 more season before moving to Renault, where he was fired at the conclusion of 2018 after the team acquired Verstappen's then Red Bull teammate Daniel Ricciardo, before coming to prominence with McLaren in 2019-20. Sainz was chosen as Sebastian Vettel's successor at Ferrari for 2021, based on his accomplishments for McLaren, where he earned 2 podium places in Brazil 2019 and Italy 2020. And could he now be chosen as Perez's successor at Red Bull? What do you think? Will we see Sainz switch to Red Bull in the future? Or will Perez stay at Red Bull after 2024? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.